What's up, friends? Welcome to Put It in My Mouth. I'm Lala.
I'm Judith.
You're here. I'm here.
We're here.
I think you should tell me the story. You started to tell me the story and then you stopped telling me the story. So tell me the story.
So way back, I think it was our first episode, and we talked about how I had just had a colonoscopy.
Yeah, we recorded that in November of 2023.
Okay, so last week I had a checkup with my gastroenterologist, and I was like, girl, everyone loved the story about the colonoscopy. People at work, they're like, oh, that was such a great. And the doctor said to me, oh, Judith, everyone loves to talk about poop.
It's true.
And I was like, yeah.
It will always be funny.
Doctor, people like to talk about pooping their pants. And she was like, that's not what I said. But so, and then she said, I've been thinking about starting my own podcast. How did you do it? Where do you record your thing?
Oh, that's
and I
really
gave her the information
cute
for the studio here. I was like, they're super nice. It's really easy. You walk in, you do it. I would totally listen to your podcast, doctor.
That's great. Well, maybe we should have her on to talk about my IBS issues.
Everyone loves to talk about poop.
Speaking of which, I have a story that I don't think I've told you.
Okay.
So we had dinner last week, you and I, with our friend Melissa.
I bounced
What's
early.
up, Melissa? And we went to a lovely Thai restaurant, and I won't name it because it's not their fault. It's just my internal organs' faults. But we went, and then afterward, I was like, I'm going to walk home. It's going to be it was such a lovely night. It was like,
Didn't you go out after?
We did. We had a glass of wine.
Okay.
So then I was further away, and I was like, whatever, 30-minute walk, no big deal. It's the end of summer. It's a nice night. I'm going to take a stroll. I'm in such high spirits, hanging out with my friends, had some wine. I'm 10 minutes into this walk, and then all of a sudden, I thought the sweats started happening, and I was like, I am unwell, and I am unsafe.
But wait, didn't Austin say you just have to go into a bar and say, excuse me very much, I have to.
I couldn't think straight. You know about I have issues. All of a sudden, I was like, I'm going to shit myself. I was like, do I go on the street? Do I find something to duck behind? Do I call a car? Do I try and hail a cab? Do I walk down into this? I couldn't.
What were you wearing?
I don't remember. What was I? I was jeans and a t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing a onesie
or
anything.
Picture the scene.
Okay, I was with you. I don't know. But I was in such a panic, and all I could think of was just keep walking and get home. And then I made it.
Yeah.
But what happens, and this is my question.
Oh, okay.
The closer you get to the home, the closer you get to your home, the closer you get to the toilet, it's do you think your body knows? Because it gets to that point where that last second you are going to actually shit yourself. But then you don't.
I think there is something that happens in your brain. I think your brain sees your front door or sees the key in the lock and thinks,
was fumbling
we're there,
with the keys.
We're there, girl. And then it just starts to happen.
Man.
I definitely think there's a click.
And then that moment of sweet relief.
And thank God I didn't do it on the street.
Yeah. And your heart rate starts to go down and the sweat stops. And then you're just clamming. Oh my God.
My doctor's right. People love to talk about poop.
That hasn't happened to me in a good year. Once a year, I have a good, solid moment.
So that's it.
I hope so.
You're good for a while.
Anyway, we should stop talking about poop and talk about our amazing guest.
Yes, please.
We do have a guest. You want to know about this person?
Yeah.
All right. And I mean this with love.
Okay.
And admiration, but he is an obsessive.
Ooh.
Yes. He's a man of no compromise. He is a guitar shredder. He is a 2-time James Beard Award winner, a Michelin star winner, a best-selling author of 3 cookbooks. He's a Northern Thai freak, a Som-Tom savant. He is Andy Ricker. Sawadee ka.
Sawadee ka.
My gosh.
Welcome.
Yo, I am so happy that this happened.
It almost didn't.
It almost
trapped
didn't.
on the train.
Yeah.
Right?
The typical New York
Fire on the
experience.
train.
I've
Welcome
been
back
gone
to
for,
the city.
a year, and I get back and I get trapped on a train. Right
Yeah.
away. So.
But just the fact that you're here in New York and you've created time for us, I'm so grateful.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And I want to say, first of all, that we apologize on behalf of all Americans because these are your words, us dry wiping heathens. Why do you think that bidets, or what do they call them in Thailand? Bum guns?
Yeah, we call tichutut, which just means the thing to spray your ass with.
Yeah. Why do you think that these have not caught on in the States.
But
But
Andra,
which one?
our girl,
Audra,
right? She carries one around with her, like when she travels.
I just bought one of those. Hey.
Yeah.
REI.
Okay.
And handheld butt squirter. Look,
And she feels the same way. Like,
But you remember during COVID, suddenly bidet seats were like basically you couldn't get them anymore because people were freaked out about toilet paper.
Right.
So like, well, let's get a bidet instead. So like Amazon ran out of bidet seats. But I don't know. I've been living in Thailand for over 30 years, and as soon as I figured out the bum gun, I was like, this is so much better. I don't want to go into details, but like.
We enjoy details.
We wash our hands obsessively. We wash our heads. We don't wash the dirtiest part of ourselves. I don't fucking understand it.
That's a very good point.
I really don't understand it. I don't get it.
like,
Thai people think we're disgusting.
I don't blame them.
And we're horrible about our feet too, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't take our shoes off when we go in the house. You're walking around New York City. I take my shoes off before I go in your house.
Thank you.
Because
As do I. I'm
you
very
walk around New York City, you don't know what you're stepping in.
Yeah,
right?
And
it's
even your
foul.
clothes. You
Disgusting,
shouldn't be
yeah.
sitting on our furniture with the clothes that we're wearing.
We should just come in and disrobe and take a shower and then.
Yeah, just sit around naked.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Well, or put on your house clothes, but for sure shoes.
House clothes.
Shoes got to come off.
Looks
So
like
I saw a comedian say, like, imagine if you put poop on your head and then wiped it off with a piece of paper. Like, would you feel like that was clean?
that is a
Right.
really,
Even if
really
you're bald.
Yeah, like your head
Even if
is
you're
not
bald.
clean.
Yeah.
Why would you think that?
Yeah, I don't understand why the bidets. I mean, they're all over Europe, obviously. Like, why
And
Americans
if you've done
just
it, it's lovely.
right? It is. And Japanese toilets, oh dear, they're heated. I mean, we don't get it here. We are
And
just
like
filthy
We like
people.
to spend money on things. That's like our thing.
Right.
So
Consumers, capitalists.
yeah.
What
we
the
like-
hell?
I mean, literally for the price of like 2 nights out drinking cocktails, you could have a bidet seat.
That's so true.
Cocktails are fucking $21
Yeah.
each now.
Oh, sometimes 25 if
Yeah.
you're
I've
going to.
had like a $30
Yeah.
one night out. I can
So-
have a.
Do that 10 times and you've got a bidet seat.
You didn't know what you were getting into by coming on this podcast. We're not going to talk about
I
food.
thought it was, I don't know what I was thinking was gonna be.
No,
All
it's
right.
food the other way, going out, not
All
going
right.
in. Just kidding. Anyway, so you're a white guy from Vermont.
It's true.
Yep. And then we're taking it back, but like I'm going to cut out a lot of the stuff because you've talked about this stuff for a very long time. So you ended up in Thailand in the late 90s and you had this epiphany and you said a slap in the face with this mushroom soup.
Yeah, that was the early 90s actually, but yeah.
Okay. Tell us about it.
I was there to visit a guy that I had grown up with in Vermont. Briefly, he had come from Alabama. We went to school together for a couple of years, became best friends, and he bounced back to Alabama to play football. And we lost track of each other. He went to university. I didn't, like all that kind of stuff. And he had moved to Thailand through a series of events and had married a woman who was a ajahn or professor at Chiang Mai University. So I went to visit him. This is 92. And his wife, Lakana, is local. She's from Chiang Mai. And she asked, do you like Thai food? And I said, yeah, of course. And she took me to eat like just bog standard Thai food, but good stuff because she had good taste.
yeah.
And she said, well, I think she was just testing me to see if I really did like it or not, right? And then she said, well, do you want to try some local food? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they took me to this spot that had a dish called gang het top, het top is like a little puffball mushroom. It's very, very aromatic. It comes up as soon as the rain starts falling after the hot, dry season. So during the hot and dry season, there's a lot of fires that it's been a folkloric way of controlling the forest situation for, millennia. So after they burn the forest and then it rains, boop, up come the het top.
The fungi.
And they're very, very desirable. They're not. I mean, they're not most delicious thing in the world, but they have like a really special place in the hearts of the northern Thai people and the Chinese too. So they're like puffballs, but with like a tougher outer skin, and they're very fragrant and they're chewy as hell. And they do various dishes with them.
Something I would like.
Right? And they're only around for a couple of weeks. And we happened to be there right when it happened, like early May.
Okay.
And So we went and had this dish, and it was gang het top, which is northern Thai sort of herbal soup curry, for lack of a better word, that involves pork ribs and tamarind leaves and this head top mushroom. And it was
Sounds delicious.
It was sour, it was salty, it was herbaceous, and it was bitter, and it had this flavor that I just like was something I'd never encountered before. I would never associate it with Thai food, and I'd never encountered that flavor profile.
Yeah, it's hitting
anywhere
all the
else.
places on your palate.
Yeah, and that was that was a trigger moment for me to kind of realize that for years I've been cooking for years already, and there's all this stuff in French cooking and Spanish cooking and Italian, like there's seasons, and you get there's truffle season and there's tomato season.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me, probably most people still, that there is the same thing in Thailand. There's seasons, there's regions, there's traditions, there's localities, and it was like, okay, so there's a local cuisine. It's seasonal, obviously, because it's only happening now. It's regional because it kind of falls into this general category of northern Thai food, and it's personal, like local. This guy makes it this particular way. And so I was like, well, that's true. And then it took me a little while to kind of connect the dots, but it's like, if that's true for here, then it must be true for everywhere in Thailand. And it is.
Absolutely.
So that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
That's 1992. So that was, 32 years ago.
And then would you say that from that moment your obsession began? Because I know that you then went back to Thailand a few times.
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of me kind of like going, wow, I've got to learn as much about this as I possibly can.
Because you were cooking. So after that, and now I'm going to take it ahead a little bit, you decided to settle in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And you were playing in bands, and you were cooking. You were working in kitchens,
Also
kind of
support
like
myself, yeah.
Yeah, to support the musician in you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you sort of like got a little disillusioned, and then you're painting houses and doing all these other things, and decide you don't want to punch the clock for anyone else. And so, brilliant idea. You go with no money in the bank. You max out 7 credit cards to open a shack that serves lemongrass stuffed charcoal roasted chicken and papaya salads on a residential street in Portland.
Yeah, it's a commercial residential. That was the beauty of it.
But what were you thinking?
That's exactly.
This doesn't sound like any sort of sound business plan or like, oh, it's cool. I have a few months of money, or like not even like what?
I'll
Okay,
self-fund with my 7 credit cards.
Well, here's the thing. There was a method to the madness. There wasn't a business plan. I just had faith that something would work, but I never planned it to become what it became. But what I had was that I was able to buy the house that had the commercial restaurant space in it.
Okay.
So I owned the property, and that was the thing that gave me the confidence and the courage to do this, because if everything went to shit, I could turn around and sell it and at least probably get out of it without having lost everything.
All right, you're sounding slightly less crazy.
No, I there was definitely a plan, but all my friends said exactly what you said. Like, are you out of your mind? You're going to lose it. It's going to be a complete failure, because the place was built in the late 1800s, and it had an addition that was built in the teens, and then another addition that was built in the 30s. It was, it didn't look like it could possibly be a restaurant,
But that's what's kind of cool about it, right?
And
that
it was a seated restaurant. It had a whole menu, or it was just
it
like
started out as a shack next to a house with a commercial, like this weird commercial kitchen in it. And that was the other thing. It had a commercial kitchen in it. It had been continually been used since 1985. So that's 20 years.
Yeah.
So it was grandfathered in, and it was not up to current code at all. But they had to let me operate because it was grandfathered in. So I was able to start as soon as the shack was ready to go and plumbed and
unicorn.
good. I could, yes, total unicorn. I was able to go forward and do stuff. And so I opened, the initial opening didn't cost me much. I mean, obviously I bought the house and I had saved up enough money for a down payment. And this is 2005.
Right.
So this is during the time right before.
So you could get a house with like a Post-it note.
Basically, yeah. No, the guy, I got a residential loan on a commercial property, basically. And so I had a 30-year residential loan that, the guy, the mortgage broker came in and there was a sign. It used to be a little sushi restaurant. There was a sign in the front yard, and I was like,
cute.
he's like, I'm going to take some pictures. I was like, yeah, there's a sign there that says that this is a commercial space. He's like, so it's okay. I'll just take it at an angle. You won't see it. It'll be fine. So that was the deal. I had a 30-year residential loan, so my payments per month were very low, and I was still working as a house painter, and I was still getting income, so I was able to get it built out to a certain point. Then I had to sell the house that I actually lived in to finance further, and then I started maxing out credit cards.
Oh,
so it was
okay.
just like this.
Okay.
I mean, look, I admire the whole like, who knows? Let's just
Yeah.
jump mentality, because I've done that many times. Are you a fire sign?
No, I'm a Capricorn.
What's a Capricorn? What is a Capricorn?
Capricorn's
You're
like,
asking the wrong person.
you're like half goat and half something else. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, I mean,
We'll have to look it up
I
later.
think it's I don't know. Earth sign maybe.
All right. So that's, I mean, wow. Okay. So you had like 2 things on the menu, right? You started off super, super small.
It was a little bit more than that, but it was basically the aforementioned roasted chickens and the papaya salad, and there was a khao soi, which was at the time a dish that wasn't really on menus here.
No, we were actually just having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Thailand for the first time in 2007. And then Judith came back to New York and I went back to LA. And in both of those very large cities, there was like one place in New York that was doing khao soi and like one place in LA. And
I found some guy who had a list online, and it was like 5 restaurants. Every time we found a
that
new
guy.
restaurant.
I remember that. I remember that list.
And now it's everywhere. It's not.
No, it's
every,
ubiquitous.
Every
It's on every
takeout
menu.
restaurant has
Yeah.
it. I mean, most of it's not good, but
but yeah, I remember falling in love with
Yeah,
that
we
dish
were
and
like,
being
"What is
wait,
this
pickled
flavor in my mouth that's
vegetables
happening to
on
my
this?"
head?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So there was that, and there were a couple of other things, but it was a small menu, and it had to be because I was cooking on charcoal in the back, and then I had like a very I couldn't cook with gas inside. I could cook with gas, like in the shack I couldn't cook with gas, but in the prep kitchen I could. So there, I jimmied together a menu that would work with dishes that I thought people would like.
I bet in those early days too, the people that found you were just like, "This is so cool."
Well, the weird thing about all that was that this was also at the advent of chat rooms and blogging, food blogging had
Lots
just
of food bloggers.
started.
Yeah.
So like a few of the first people who showed up were these food bloggers, and now don't like to talk derisively about people, but there was
Please do.
most of the
Oh, we
people
do.
who were
Yeah.
food blogging back then were doing it because they had issues with food. There's nothing like getting power than like
if you
controlling
can't
the narrative.
then you
Yeah.
Well, you control the narrative about something that you're having an issue with. So
The Karens
a
of
lot
the
of the
food
people
world.
would show up who were like had all kinds of food issues, but they would say, "Hey, I'm a food blogger," and they'd be like, "But I can't have anything with garlic." Blah, 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 blah. And you just like, "Oh,
You're like,
yeah,
go
that's
somewhere
interesting.
else
Very
then.
interesting."
make your own white rice at home.
God, seriously.
It was so, but anyway, they liked it, and so they started writing about it. And then I remember the first time somebody posted something that was like negative, but like came from a place that they didn't understand what was going on. And I very foolishly decided to wade in and
Oh, no.
and try to engage.
Oh
God.
no, do not
And I
engage.
just like immediately
The
went, "This
floodgates.
is fucking wrong thing to do. I'm out," and I never engaged again.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
But-
like, "Oh, well, that's because of this."
Well,
this, and they're
actually,
just like,
sir.
"Bah," and then
Yeah, they
I was
don't-
like, "Okay, forget it."
They don't even want to hear it.
No.
They don't care.
No.
Yeah.
So that opened in 2005,
Yeah.
and then as soon as 2006, you were in the Oregonian, the restaurant out of a shack, restaurant of the year,
Yeah, it was 2007, maybe?
2007,
I think, yeah.
and that like, bam, like put you on the map.
Yeah, and because back then, even in a small market like Portland, getting a review like that was, that was good for your business for years. I mean, we did this was before, the online,
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
it is.
Restaurant of the moment.
Well, there was none of the like eater, all that kind of crap. There was
Right.
none of that stuff. So, and certainly none of the what's the review vertical.
Yelp.
Yelp. There was no Yelp. There was no travel, whatever.
Right.
There was no Instagram.
There's none of that stuff. So if you got a good review, that's people read the newspaper, held a newspaper in the hand, read it, and went, "Oh, that's cool," and they would go because it wasn't like this constant turnover. So
that's what we used to do.
Boosted us a lot.
Yeah, and there wasn't a new list next week.
Right.
Like you could rely on this list for a minute.
Exactly.
A while, yeah.
And New York's lucky because I know Pete Wells just resigned, but like New York is lucky because it's one of the last markets in the country that has real critical voice that a publication actually pays to be relatively unbiased, and there's not a whole lot of that. Maybe Chicago, LA. Aside from that,
with
I don't
the
know.
death of Jonathan Gold, like I don't even know what's really going on in the LA food critic world. I feel like we've never been able to fill those shoes.
Yeah, I think San Francisco, but it's like it's not common for a local newspaper to have a food critic anymore. It just costs too much, and they're
It sounds kind of like it's a miserable job.
It sounds hard because it's hard for them too because now they have to rely on clicks. They can't just do something from a purely journalistic standpoint. They have to
Like
the
Pete
way they
Wells
get
was like,
paid.
I'm going to
is
do
like, how many
100
clicks did you get on your
restaurants.
story?
Yeah.
And
Right.
nothing sells like clicks than sensationalism. So there's a lot of that in it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and like after the pandemic, people didn't want to shit on people's restaurants,
Yeah.
and I get it. It's
Yep.
but you brought this whole repertoire of Thai food to the States that people had not seen. I mean, I think before you, Thai food was pad Thai.
Well,
maybe
I mean,
green
to be
curry.
fair, it's not that it wasn't here. If you
Did you just make it more visible?
I mean, I think that, well, if you looked at like Lotus of Siam when she was in LA, like, she had a Northern Thai menu, but people just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And she moved to Las Vegas and it got more popular then. But it was more to do with, I think, economics. Like if you're a Thai immigrant and you need to make money to survive, it's not a great risk to serve things that have offal in it,
Right, or things people are
that taste
unfamiliar
bitter and
with.
things that people are unfamiliar with. So it was available, but only if you really knew it and if you knew where to go to get it. Like mostly in LA, just mostly in LA basically.
Well, yeah, LA has the largest population of Thai people outside of Thailand, I believe.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I did that, but I think that Pok Pok did contribute to the conversation about Thai food and its value in the culinary world. And if it was a positive thing and people got something positive out of it, that's great.
I mean, don't say if. Like, it's absolutely true. Yes, Pok Pok did change the game. I mean, you're being very humble right now, but I mean, I didn't live in Portland, but and you obviously were on a different coast, but we heard about it. And I remember being like, wow, there's this guy doing these wings and this chicken and this stuff in Portland, and thinking, oh my God, I have to go to Portland to try this food because so obsessed with Thai food. And I mean, yeah, you're also responsible for kind of bringing up Portland's food scene because it was so small at the time.
Well, again, it wasn't me. There was a thing. There was something in the water there.
You were part of that thing, though.
I was part of it, but I wasn't the scene. There was
You rode the wave.
There was an upwelling.
Yeah, that's when like
upwelling.
the supper clubs and the restaurants
there
not
was
in
the
restaurants,
right,
all that thing.
all the right folks. There was this kind of like collective of people that kind of all at the same time started doing stuff, and it kind of grew organically.
So it was the right people in the right moment of time.
It was the right place. We had this combination of things. We had like these incredible farms and animal husbandry and fishery and winemaking and distillery. All these things that were bubbling up at the same breweries that were bubbling up in Portland at the same time. Rents were cheap.
Yeah.
The food was good and plentiful. There was Portland has always been, until recently, as far as I know, because I don't live there anymore, has always been a place that was accepting of kind of like people letting their freak flag fly.
Yeah, keep
It always
Portland
was,
weird, right? Isn't that their
so
slogan?
people were willing to try stuff, and because there was a ready labor pool, the rents were cheap, build out was cheap, food was available. People were willing to go and eat in places that weren't fancy. I mean, we didn't have a quote nice restaurant in Portland until Ava Jean's opened. You know, and that was after
What year was
Dwayne.
that?
Maybe in the early teens,
Okay.
2013 or 14, I think. But it was Dwayne Sorensen who owned Stumptown Coffee, and he had like sold his company. He was in New York. He was like killing it. He became friends with the Franks. Like he was very inspired by the food scene here. And he came back. He had all this money. And he built this beautiful restaurant. And then he built another beautiful restaurant. But until then, nobody had really done that in Portland. Everybody was doing things kind of on a certain, aesthetic level and a certain budget level.
Sounds like it was sort of a laboratory.
It was
People were-
pre-Brooklyn.
Yeah,
food scene,
right.
Basically, it really was.
Brooklyn
It was-
before Brooklyn was
it
Brooklyn.
Was, yeah.
People just fucking around and finding out.
I mean, it sounds like
Yeah.
a time.
It was, and it sort of coincided with the kind of the end of the grunge music scene that kind of like was another wave that I was on for a while that never got. And then there was like this whole music scene, and there was like some interconnections between the music scene and the restaurant scene, and then the restaurant scene kind of took over as the main thing that was cool about Portland. It was just happened to be at the right place at the right time, I think, is what happened. Yeah.
That sounds epic.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been around for that.
She'll be around for some other thing.
Some
that's gonna
other
be
scene.
epic. The epic thing just hasn't happened yet.
So would you say, I mean, I know I described you in the beginning as an obsessive, and I mean that like the best way possible. Do you think you're an obsessive? Do you think you're obsessed?
No, I wouldn't call it obsession. I would say that, but who gets to decide that?
Well, you can decide.
I've
You're
been called that many times before.
You're a psychologist.
I think I'm
You're a
very,
psychiatrist.
very
Ex-lovers.
I think just my brain works in a very, very methodical way. In a very I want things to be right, and for whatever reason, my brain organizes things in such a way that I'm good at kind of making things turn out well if I put a lot of energy into it, and I try to, and so. That's why this worked for me, is because I wasn't creating something, right?
Thai food has existed.
I was
since
just going.
examining
I was
it.
trying to go, hey, there's this whole thing happening there that you should really try, and I just want to try to present some small part of it that I think is interesting, and try to do the best I can to reproduce it. That's all I was doing.
Is it true that you wouldn't use words like authentic or
Yes.
traditional in your
Yes.
restaurants?
Yes.
Instead, you use the word accurate or like accuracy.
So people would say, well, how would you describe it? And I would say it's like regionally. It's regional. How did I say it? I've forgotten how I said it. But it basically, I avoided the idea of traditional, authentic, because those are both very, very subjective, and just said, this is, regional, seasonal food of Thailand. It's just what I said.
I also love that you would say, I'm not a chef necessarily. I'm not here to put my own spin on Thai food. I am just here to do it a service.
Right.
That I'm cooking this food. I'm not changing it. I'm not dumbing it down for white people.
I also feel like the minute someone says authentic, I go, is it though?
Yeah,
Like
right.
if you have to put that label on it,
Agreed.
it gives
makes
me
it less so.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, I think it's fair enough for a Thai person to do that.
Sure, you are a Thai
because
person
you-
making
you-
Thai
Yes,
food.
yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you have an idea of what's authentic. You also have to market your food to people who want to know that, because that's the thing that Westerners seem to want, is they want the authentic. So they might go into a restaurant and go, is this authentic Thai food? Or is this tradition? Is this the way you eat it traditionally? And people are like, well, of course. I mean, like, yes, it is.
But we're cooking it for you.
So, it's not something that is like, I couldn't use it as a marketing tool, and I couldn't claim it in any way because I didn't have the Thai grandmother.
Yeah, what
right?
would it be like casseroles? What did you eat in Vermont? What's Vermont food?
Yeah, what'd you grow up on? What was your grandmother making?
Syrup? What do we
My
get from
grandmother
Vermont?
wasn't making shit. She was already dead. But
Ben and Jerry's, that's Vermont.
Oh yeah,
I've got a story about that too. So my parents were hippies, and we belonged to the local food co-op. And my mom was a pot smoker, but she cooked. So we would have.
I mean, she's
casseroles.
probably going to get the
we'd have-
munchies. She needs to cook something.
Yeah, we'd have bulgur, and we'd have vegetables, and so it wasn't. We didn't eat fancy food. We ate very, very simple food, but it was good. It was good, healthy food, and it was somewhat creative from a Stone perspective. And Ben and Jerry's, we used to go. I was getting guitar lessons in Burlington, and we used to go. My parents were both folk musicians, and we'd go to Ben and Jerry's and play. They sold crepes and ice cream at night, and we'd sit in the dining room and play music for a meal and put the hat out.
Oh my God, they
And the
are
original
hippies.
Ben
I
and
love
Jerry's.
this.
That's
Yeah.
pretty hippie.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this
All
is in
right.
the. This is in
See,
the
that's
very
authentic.
early 80s.
That- There you go.
that was an
Bringing it
authentic
back.
experience, yeah. So anyway, it I grew up in a household where we didn't go out to eat at restaurants. Hardly ever. It was like only in special occasions. And we didn't have any money, so it wasn't like we were going to pop around to the local restaurant for dinner.
And I know that you've answered this question before, but just to take it back, I mean, you're a white guy doing, Southeast Asian food. Do you want to answer that again? Do we want to talk about it again? Because people don't have problems with white people doing Spanish food or, why do you think people get upset
It
about
was
it?
very understandable why they would get upset with it, because we as a society have like in the past derided people for what they eat at home. We have ridiculed it. We have called it weird. Like food media for a very long time, whenever it talked about Thai food, it was either bizarre or just like kind of I don't know, benign, and there was never this sort of like respect paid to that type of cuisine. It was like and the jokes that people had to be party to, like, you eat dog, do you eat cat? It's like that
your
shit
food
is so
stinks. Like if
offensive
kids are
and so
kids
bad.
are taking it to the lunchroom, and why does your food smell weird? And what is that?
So of course,
That's
when
fish sauce and it's delicious.
Of course, when
Right.
somebody who isn't of the culture becomes successful selling the food of that culture, then you've got to be, there is definitely grounds for people to be upset about it. And I don't really have a defense except for to say, I tried my best to not claim anything for myself. I did my best to be as accurate as I possibly could with the food that I was making. And when I saw that it was time for Pok Pok to be done, I closed it down.
I mean, basically, it's just
So,
you have the utmost respect
Totally.
for the food.
100%.
Which-
I mean, I always have. I live there now. I've been, living there on and off for, close to 30 years. And I just, it's when people level accusations of colonialization, like I understand it. And I feel like I've done it as respectfully as I can, but doesn't really matter. It's not really my narrative to say. So would I do it again now? No, probably not. Probably not. But at the time, 2005, it was, there was just an emptiness there. There wasn't anybody doing it. And I just felt like it was, and I thought that what I was doing was opening a restaurant to sell some roasted chicken and some papaya salad, and that I would expand the menu a little bit, and then I would be able to close down in the winter and go travel to Thailand, and I would be able to make a living. I had no idea that it would blow up. I really didn't. I thought that the people locally would understand roasted chicken, and that if I could introduce a few more dishes, then that would be good. What happened later was not of my manufacturing. I didn't have a PR firm out there pushing it. I just did what I did, and the people that worked with me did what they did, and it became what it became.
Yeah, because at the
that.
height, how many you had like 9. How many locations did you have? You
It
had
fluctuated. It went up and
Portland,
down.
New York,
Yeah, it went up
Los
and down.
Angeles. Did you had Vegas?
Yeah, there was a licensing deal in Vegas, and
I
at some point it became this situation where you're like, well, now we have 885 employees, and how do we support the employees, and how do we bring people up? And it really became a business, and it stopped being such a personal thing for me. And at that point, you start making business decisions.
Right, because it got away from your little idea of, I just want to sell some
Yeah.
chicken and papaya salad out of this shack.
Yeah.
Then you're dealing with a whole other beast.
Yeah, it became
And with a lot
much
of different
bigger.
opinions and
Yeah, and like there were, we made missteps, we had successes, we expanded, probably too big. The world changed drastically.
Well, did having all those places make you happy?
I don't think that I was thinking about happy or sad at the time. It was more about like, keep going, let's go. We keep going.
this is what should be happening. You
Yeah.
do a thing, you get successful at it. You keep getting more successful.
And I should
at it.
open more if they're doing well.
That also becomes like that becomes more of an obsession than anything else. Is this idea of opening? Like you talk to anybody who's opened more than one restaurant, and they're always looking. They're walking by a space and going, "Oh, I'm going to open a place there." And that becomes kind of like I can't stop doing this, and I think that I definitely became like that. I still am like that.
Yeah.
I can still look at a space and go, I think that would make a great restaurant. I think I know what to do there.
Well,
I would know. I'd be
Yeah.
able to open it. I'd be able to figure out what to do. I know how to build a place. That was part of my skill set. Was I know how to do the building stuff. I know how to deal with all the permitting bullshit. I know how to get it open. But once it's open, I have zero interest in running it.
Yeah, the
'cause
beginning
it's a
is the
nightmare.
exciting
Well,
part,
I
the
can
magic.
look at an outfit in a window and be like, I could make that outfit look really cute, but I don't necessarily walk in and get the outfit every time.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I get it. It's like the magic is in the ideas, and then the monotony of the day-to-day running. It becomes a different thing, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I'm out. I don't have any more restaurants now. At one time, we had at any given time, there are usually around 7 or 8 restaurants operating in various different markets, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less.
So let's talk about that, because it was basically the pandemic, right? Where everything shifted and you were like, I'm shutting them all down. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm moving to Thailand full time.
But you had been back and forth for years.
So what if the pandemic wouldn't have happened?
About now, I would have been moving there.
Yeah.
The plan was always to go.
Plan was always to go. And the plan, I had already sort of set the wheels in motion to start.
And was it always going to be Chiang Mai?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a house there for like 10 years.
Okay.
And, but I had a plan in place before COVID hit. It was like, well, I'm going to start, as the leases are up, I'm going to start getting rid of these things. That happened in New York. LA, I left. I just sold and got out. But I was like, well, I'm going to start slowly letting these things go until I'm down to the place that I own. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I'll get that into a stasis where it kind of runs by itself, and I can go back. I can just go live in Thailand and come back here occasionally to take care of it.
So essentially COVID just sped that process up.
Sped the process up, yeah. Yeah.
And now you're full time in Thailand.
And do you feel that the idea of, or the reality of, I'm going to move to Thailand and live there full time as a guy from Vermont has changed in 30 years? Are more people doing it? Do people think of it differently? Is it more expensive? Is it less expensive? Is it cool? Are people upset?
Well, I mean, that's a very complicated question to answer, but yeah.
It's like
Answer
six
all of
questions.
it in one sentence right now.
For a lot of
Because,
different
I mean,
reasons.
we're talking a lot these days about digital nomads and what we as potential digital nomads can do to an area.
Yeah. Well, look, there are a lot of digital nomads in Thailand. Most of them are in Bangkok. Some of them are in Chiang Mai, but they're kind of everywhere. And the problems are not. You can do it, but the government says you can do it, but when it comes down to the actual paperwork to legally be in Thailand as a digital nomad, it's not clear. The digital nomad visa that exists, supposedly, nobody even at the government really knows how it works. The rules
Yeah, I think
haven't
it's
been
just
set.
so new. Everybody's just kind of like,
But there have been people for years that go and do
just
it
do
on
it.
tourist visas,
Yeah.
right? And just do it. And so there's always been those people around. There's the natural thing that happens where there's the retirees. You can retire to Thailand at the age of 50 and get a retirement visa, and you can just be there.
oh, wow.
But it's a pain in the ass. You have to.
That's the next big one.
You have to check in every 90 days, and you have to renew. You have to reapply for your visa at the end of the year. But you can do it, and so people do. And so the people who are like that, who are more who have families, who've lived there for decades, kind of view the digital nomads as these disrespectful, they're kind of like the dudes that are hanging out on Ludlow Street smoking pot and standing in the way. But
Get out of the way.
I'm walking in.
and then the young people are like, well, what are you talking about? We're here doing cool shit. What's your problem? So it's like anywhere else. But we don't have if you go to Lisbon now, right? Lisbon is full of Airbnbs. Nobody can live downtown anymore. It's
Barcelona.
insane. Barcelona's
as well,
protesting, saying we don't want people here. Thailand doesn't have that problem. We don't have enough revenue coming from outside to support the economy right now.
Okay,
So the
that's
economy is
interesting.
in a bad place right now. Even though there are a lot of tourists, it's not enough to really kind of boost the economy. And if there are too many tourists, it creates other problems.
Right.
But personally, I have a good life there. My wife and I have a house. We have 6 cats.
What are your cats' names?
Jamuk, Yindi, Somchai, Nampu, Hiu Kao, and how many was that?
I think that was 5.
And Leah.
Okay, will you show me pictures of your cats later?
Yes, I
Okay,
will.
good.
Will you tell us what those words mean?
Yes. Jamuk means nose. Nampu means black crab paste. Hiu Kao means hungry for rice.
That's adorable.
Somchai is just a name. It's like calling somebody Hank or Roger or something. He's like a good guy.
Oh,
Good guy.
that Roger.
Leah means to lick. And Yindi means welcome.
These are
I
adorable.
mean, this sounds like I want to live in a house in Chiang Mai with 6 cats.
Yeah, I mean that could be a retirement plan now that we know about the visa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So living is still relatively inexpensive there outside of Bangkok. Bangkok's in another century, and it's a separate economy. There's Bangkok, and then there's the rest of Thailand. To me, it's like Bangkok is this city of
And is most of
future.
the tourist money staying in Bangkok? Is that?
Bangkok, Phuket,
Oh, right.
Koh
Oh, right, that
Samui.
place. Oh, right, that place.
We've
too.
been to Samui.
Chiang Mai still has the reputation of being kind of like a backpacker destination.
Oh, we love Chiang Mai.
We
It was
absolutely adored it.
But yeah, Bangkok has this massive economy, and there's Nobu just opened there. And,
oh yeah.
Tellier, Robuchon is there. It's
Like
just
at Nobu
high
prices?
level. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Roberta's just opened there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I hung out with Carlo in Bangkok. So
Okay, but now I'm interested. What does did it taste like Roberta's, or was it?
yeah, I mean, we actually wasn't there. I had a pizza in it. Yeah, it tasted like Roberta's pizza.
I wonder if Angelo was there consulting.
I'm just. Do they import the water?
Right? Is it the water?
Yeah.
So
they
what
import
do-
the flour, that's for sure.
What do Thai people think of you?
I mean, some Thai people who are of the older generation like what Pok Pok did, and they the people who know who I am, generally speaking, do. But I think a lot of the younger generation don't feel the same way, and understandably, especially the younger generation who are second generation Thai people in America have a different perspective because they were born and raised here. In Thailand, I live a pretty low profile life. I'm not doing TV shows or anything crazy like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure what type, but
is it pretty small where you live? I mean,
Yeah.
I assume everyone kind of knows you. You're like the white guy that speaks fluent Thai.
well, I'm not fluent, so that's another thing. I'm conversational, but in New
That's
York,
pretty amazing because it's a tonal language. My God,
there's a lot of Westerners who speak very fluent Thai.
Oof.
Yeah.
I found it difficult to even get the basics, but that's commendable. So, but I think as someone who's lived there for so long, you're not the new guy anymore. I mean,
Right.
people know you as a person,
No.
not just as a figure.
No, I mean,
Right.
like a lot of the younger chefs call me Lung, which means older uncle. So
That's sweet.
no, it's great because I don't have a restaurant. I have zero interest in having a restaurant. I don't really.
That was going to be one of
cook
my next questions.
for the public in Thailand. I don't want to do that. But whatever kind of clout I have online, I'm spending it kind of trying to hype the people who are really moving Thai food forward. And there's a lot. I mean, in Thailand, it's got an incredible chef scene. There's people there who are cooking it at such an extremely
Shout
high
out a few
level.
of them. Tell us.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, there's Prin Ponsok and his wife Mint at a restaurant called Samrap for Thai, which is probably it is. It's the best Thai restaurant in the world.
Where
What?
in Thailand is this?
It's in Bangkok on Saladang.
Oh,
And
okay.
this is my opinion, but it's also the opinion of most of the chefs in Thailand. They will say, we're standing in a room and there's Prin and everybody else is there. There's Chef Noom of Samui & Sons. There's Charlie Cater of 100 Mahaset, Wana Yuk, yada, yada, yada. There's Chef Pam from Ban Ho, I think it's called. And then there's Chef Tam from Ban Te Pa. There's it just goes on and on. There's Chef Black from Black Kitchen Chiang Mai. There's Chef Kong from Locust Food Labs up in Chiang Rai. There's of course David Thompson is still active in Bangkok. There's Dylan Eterong of Hom.
And watching all of them, it doesn't give you any sort of itch. No
Hell no.
restaurant in the future.
Zero
that's
itch.
okay.
I'm just
Off the table.
really super stoked to watch them kind of move Thai food into the future, and the quality and the attention to detail and the sense of attachment to history is really incredible. And I feel very fortunate to be around yet another scene that is kind of happening that you don't really realize.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is about that kind of thing, when it happens, you're not aware that it's really happening.
Right, until after.
But
until
capital
after it's
T
already
thing
happened.
is happening.
Yeah.
It is just the
But
thing.
this
that's
is like a
over.
renaissance of Thai food in Thailand, because up until probably like a couple years before COVID, Thai food was declining in Thailand. There was this kind of the old school places were starting to close because the young people didn't want to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the talented cooks had gone off to work in Europe or America or Australia and were interested in Western food, and that was considered more classy. And of course there are people who carry the torch and keep on making really great stuff. That's always going to be true, but
The
the
generational
handoff was slow, and when it finally happened, it was amazing, because a lot of these people I've mentioned had gone and worked overseas and had come back with kind of a different mindset about food, and had rededicated themselves to this idea that what we have here in Thailand is incredible and worthwhile, and have really moved the what's the word? They've moved the goalposts.
So that's what's
forward.
happening now.
Yes, I mean, you go to
sounds exciting.
Bangkok, and the chef Ice and Yacht at Son restaurant is incredible. Southern Thai food. The list just goes on and on. That you could spend 2 weeks there eating at a different high-end restaurant there.
That
every
sounds
day.
fun. I'm in.
I'm
Yeah.
pushing that back up the list.
Right.
It was sort of go back. It was down here.
Bolan.
Now it's
Bo and Dylan have been
I've
at it
been
for
to
15
Bolan.
years.
Last time I was in Thailand in 2019.
Very, very close friends of mine, still doing incredible work. It's just it's inspiring to watch, and I'm so grateful to be able to be friends with those people, and yeah, it's really great.
So what are you do? You're in the States now because you're doing some pop-ups, right? And you also lead food tours and
Yeah. So
I want to go on one of those. Taking people to Vietnam as well.
So I after when COVID hit and I shut down everything, and I was like, well, I'm moving to Thailand, and I'm like, I can't retire. I don't have enough money, so I'm going to have to figure out
money.
How am I going to make a living going forward? And for the first 2 years, I had enough money to be okay for the first 2 years because nothing was happening with anything.
Right.
And so, I was able to keep it relatively low key, but I started to cobble together a way of making a living. And it involves doing a little bit of consulting. Mm-hmm. It involves doing day tours that I book through either my website, andyricker.com, or
plug that shit.
or through a couple of high-end travel companies that I'm one of their experiences in Chiang Mai. And then occasionally I'll do a pop-up tour. I can only do these if I can make money, because they're too hard.
Yeah.
It takes me away from home for too long. Do that, and then we've got a couple of properties that we rent out and stuff like that. So it's I find myself late in my life hustling again. But
using all of the skills that you've gathered your whole life sort of in a new way.
Yeah. And also it seems like you get to decide where you want to hustle, and your life is your own. And there's some magic in that.
There is.
Sure.
And I made that choice, when I started being a painting contractor in like 1997 or something. I was like, I'd never want to punch the clock for anybody else.
That's me too.
Whatever I have to do, I will do it by, if I have to go back to painting, I'll go back to painting. I don't want to, but I don't want to go and get a job. So I've always had to hustle.
Jobs are dumb.
Yeah.
Giving someone else my time is really really stupid.
I don't like it.
And I feel like we're going to be okay. Like I'm never going to get rich, but we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay is
okay
fucking great.
Is better than most people.
Yeah, truly. And at the very, at least you're fucking happy and living life on your terms and being where you want to be. And
I get to do these
all
trips
those
with
cats.
Roads and Kingdoms. With those guys are amazing. That I met Matt and Nathan through Tony Bourdain, and we're doing these trips all around the world. I've gotten to go to places that I've always wanted to go, that there would be no reason for me to go unless it was like somebody paying me to do it, basically, because I
sounds
couldn't
like
afford
a fucking dream job.
Like what?
Well, I scouted Madeira last year, and we're going to do a trip there in April.
Oh, my birthday's in April. Birthday trip.
I've been to Sardinia a couple times in the last couple of years. I go to Spain every year. Italy last year.
I'd say this is better than okay.
It's great.
Andy.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's
what's
really good.
between okay and
I mean, if you really
Okay,
think
plus.
about it, it's like it's a dream job for people.
Yeah,
like this
it's
idea of
fucking my
being able
dream
to
job.
travel for your
right,
living.
but I feel like when dream job, it's still a job. You
I mean,
still
it's
have to
reality.
work.
You still have to get on a fucking airplane.
Yeah.
And
Go
airplanes
through
suck.
security and deal with people.
Yep.
It's the people that ruin it. They destroy my will to live every time I travel. All right, let's move on to a segment where we get to air our grievances. Speaking of hating people,
Yes.
because we've shouted out a lot of people, we've shown some love, and now we want to get on our hill and fucking shake our fists. So we like to call this segment, I Don't Fuck With That.
Okay.
Give me your best air horn. Still not in the budget. Andy, can you do an air horn? No, you can't?
Cannot.
That was
sorry.
really good.
Was it?
I don't know. It was not your best attempt.
That was like a
That was like
a trombone. That was like a really sad trombone.
It was very sad.
Yep.
I don't know. I like it though. We'll add
From
it
the
to
musician
repertoire.
over here. All right, you want to go first?
So sure. I don't think that this is very exciting. I don't fuck with that. But when I ask a server, like, oh, this, you know what? I'm an adventurous eater. I'll eat anything on this menu. But like, you tell me, what do people never order and what's real good? That's what I want. Like,
You want the inside scoop.
I know.
You
the
don't want
three
the
things-
greatest hits.
I know the three things that people always order here, and I
Right.
bet they're delicious. And sure, I'll order it. But like, give me one thing. Give me one side that nobody orders. Like, I don't know. And they'll be like, oh, the and they give me something dumb. They're
Really?
like, well,
I love doing that as a server when I used to serve.
I get so many of the like, well, our most
most
popular.
popular,
That's
yeah.
not what I asked. I want you to tell me who's Eeyore's dish, who's sitting in the corner, gets no love, and maybe I should give it a shot.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay. I agree
And
with
then
you.
I feel like an asshole for asking.
No, look, that's their job is to highlight the gems.
Ooh,
right?
we're gonna come to a disagreement here.
Oh, tell us.
are.
Oh, I
Tell
love
us.
it when this happens.
I know, me too.
So at Pok Pok, I had this thing with the waiters or servers where they, I would tell them, look, if somebody asks you what's the best thing on the menu or what should I order, the correct answer is how the fuck should I know?
Right. That's true
I'm
because
not
everyone's
you.
palate is different.
Right.
I'm not you.
Okay.
And to me, that like if you're seeking for this person that you've never met before, who might be a vegan, who might have an aversion to onions, who doesn't experience food the same way as you, if you're looking for them to tell you what's good on the menu, you're on a fool's errand. Because they're going to tell you that if they're going to be honest with you, which isn't necessarily their job, they might say,
they
look,
are.
I don't fucking like anything on this menu. I just work here. That would be a fair answer to give you.
Would be a
That's still fair.
answer.
Right?
Like maybe I'm asking them to do more labor than they should be doing in the first place, and
But-
maybe I should make my own decisions.
Well, I'm not
And-
asking, when I ask people, I'm not asking thinking because you like it, I'm automatically going to like it. I genuinely want to hear their opinions of not the most popular, what do you like? And then I'll make my own
But
decisions.
I think I hate everything on this fucking menu. probably happens
I mean,
more than we think it does.
Like if a waiter's gonna, if a server's, sorry, I keep saying waiter, but if a server's gonna be completely honest, if they've been at a restaurant for a long time, they're just like, they're sick of everything.
Like, I'm just here to fucking
Just
get a
like,
paycheck, man. Just order. Just put in your food.
They're just, it doesn't matter what they tell you if you agree to it. And also, as a server, it's a risk to tell somebody that's
Right.
good.
It is
Because if they
always.
end
like
up
that
not liking
server
it,
told me to
'Cause
get
that-
this, and it was terrible.
and you're
terrible.
like, you
And-
fucked up my meal.
And then you blame the server, and it's just like. So
And
I would
honestly-
say, listen, the best thing to do is just
your
ask them a
fucking mouth
question. Just say no. Just say.
Here you go. He's got advice for you.
Do you, like if somebody says to you, "What's the best thing on the menu?" You say, "Well, what do you like? Pork, chicken, beef? Do you like something that's spicy?" And then you try to kind of edge them towards something that they like, rather than giving them just like either what you like and taking the risk that they might like it too, or
There you go.
blowing up your skirt and
Right.
like,
To be fair,
blowing it.
this is
Yeah.
why I've never been an a la carte server. I've done catering my whole life because you're supposed to say nothing. You tell them what the allergies are, and that's it. And you
Oh, I do tell people,
fade-
I say, I don't know what you like because
fade
we have
back-
different palates.
Fade back into the background and say nothing. I don't want to chat you
Yeah.
up. So if I'm asking a server to chat me up, then
Yeah,
I'm.
but I think there's a
wrong.
way to engage. That's actually an opportunity for a server to engage and go,
Yeah,
like,
truly.
what is it that you
You could
normally like,
connect.
and maybe you don't steer them towards something that they normally like. Maybe you steer them towards something they've never had, or maybe there's any number of directions you can go where you're like helping them, but you're not telling them what to do. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm always hoping for like, I want to know the hidden.
You want to know the
gem.
secret.
I want to
You
know
wanna
the secret to this
Everybody
menu.
wants to know the secret.
You tell me the key. You want
Everybody
to
wants to know the secret.
Well, what's your I don't fuck with that? What's yours? What's pissing you off?
What's pissing me off right now?
No,
Does it have to be about food?
go for it. I talked about socks on an episode.
mean, The 800-pound orange gorilla is what's just fucking me off.
Wah, wah. We were
um,
talking about this on our way here.
It's so brutal.
It's
so fucking brutal.
it's harmful to us as live humans. I feel like we're walking around traumatized all day every day.
Yeah.
I remember how like stressed I was on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's what we're-
in
yeah.
the lead up to when Trump won last time, and then the whole Twitter sphere that happened after that. I was just on edge all the time.
Trauma response all day.
I had to delete Twitter. I had to stop. And it's like
super
we're right back there
unhealthy.
again, where it's like if you're watching the news cycle, you're just like this all the time, and I just hate that.
It's bad.
I just
don't
feel
live
like I'm
anymore.
living in an
It's bad
alternate
for-
universe
Yeah.
where I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't live here anymore, so I'm not as exposed to
It's
it.
enough to make me want to leave.
But it is, that
It's-
fucks me all the way off.
It's
Me all the way off too. Well, my I don't fuck with that. We'll just segue and this was our experience at again a restaurant with you. I won't name the restaurant, but I'm just wondering, is service dead? Because we had this experience where we were in and out of our dinner in 42 minutes.
and it wasn't crowded.
It was not crowded. There were
And it was
plenty
like
of
a
tables.
Tuesday.
We were there with a friend trying to catch up, and we were so absolutely rushed from start to finish. And it
and
was
we
like
ordered
a race.
a lot of food.
So much
We were like,
food.
we'll take all of this page. We'll take half
Right.
of this page.
But it was just, I wanted to,
Do you feel like they thought that they were giving us good service by giving us
all that attention?
Yeah, so it's a lot of attention, but then it also like moves.
I
the-
think
that
that
the
a
moving it-
person in hospitality should be aware of pacing. You should also be able to read your customers.
Right.
We at a
Like
certain
three girls
point, I
gabbing about
probably looked annoyed because come
no,
on,
because your face doesn't move.
oh,
You know
that's
what?
funny.
I think that like you
can
guys
still look angry.
are like, I don't want to bring up the age thing again, but we've been around for a fair amount of time and lived through a couple of ages of hospitality industry, kind of like the way things were and the way things are. And I think that things are different. Like the way that people approach hospitality now is very different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And there's a lot of people of our age who have this mindset and this idea of what service should be like and what hospitality should be like. And the reality is that it's not like that anymore, and it probably never will be again because of so many different factors, because of economics, because of
I know they
amount of
need to
labor,
turn their
because,
tables.
like
Everything's
or anything,
expensive.
like talent, people's dedication to the vocation. It's not going to be like that again on a general level. I think there's certain places that can afford and will try to kind of keep that sort of level of, but at the point where you're walking into a place and there's like two servers and they're on their telephones and it's it's just not the same anymore.
It's not the
just
same.
not
It
the
is a
same, and
different time.
And this is why my whole like I'm fucked off. Basically, I don't really like going to restaurants anymore for a lot of different reasons. I just don't like. It's not that there are good restaurants and there's great food out there, but I am much happier to be at home cooking and eating something very simple than I am going out to a restaurant.
So you still cook?
I cook at home and I cook very simple food, and I think that after many like 20 years of like eating insanely caloric, delicious, over the top food, like going home and having a stir fry of garden greens that I pulled out of the garden is like way more satisfying to me than going and paying a large amount of money, which, by the way, I agree that it should be that expensive. It should probably be more expensive than it is to go out to eat. I just don't like it. It's not enjoyable to me anymore for the most part.
That was another.
Yeah.
At the end of Pete Wells, sort of, there were all these like goodbye articles, and some other retired reviewers were like, I eat a salad and like with some croutons, and I drink a glass of water, and I go to bed. I'm not eating a pound of butter. I'm not.
They all got fucking gout, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
True, like,
I lost
that's hard
50
to
pounds.
maintain
You
for all
know,
those
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right. Well, you did bring up, or we're winding it down, but you did bring up Tony Bourdain, and I would be remiss if I did not bring this up because you've been on his show twice. You knew the man, and you were on Parts Unknown, where you guys were doing an unadvisable amount of food and drink. And this is a quote from Tony that says that you showed him the best meal in Thailand, and the quote was, "I'd eat it out of Chris Christie's jockstrap on a hot summer day."
Yeah.
It was that good. I fucking died when I read that quote.
Can we get that on a pillow?
Right. I'd eat that out of Chris Christie's jockstrap on a hot fucking day. But tell...
So what was the meal? Sweet
It was
Jesus.
like a blood soup, right? Well, tell us... I want you to tell the listener Janet, my mother, and my father. I want you to tell them how you pranked him, how you pranked Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, we were, so we'd just eaten this meal of lu, which is, as you mentioned, raw blood. But it's not just, they don't just like pour it out of the animal and drink it. It's like
No?
it gets
witchery.
processed with lemongrass and some other stuff. So
Sure, you got to throw some herbs in the blood.
And we had eaten raw lab as well. And I told him the story about how some folks earlier that year had done the same thing, but with a wild boar. And 4 out of 7 people in the family died.
He actually believed you?
That freaked out. No, that was
7
really
out of
true. It was
7.
very true. There's all these terrible parasites you can get from wild animals if you, yeah. And then I offered him later on. This wasn't on camera, but I offered him this medicine that shows like a millipede on it.
Oh.
And I told him this is for parasites. And it's not. It's like a cough medicine.
So
I double pranked him on that one.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, thanks, man." Like, just kidding, dummy.
Chris Christie's
jockstrap on a hot summer day.
But he was right. I mean, it really it sounds. This is one of those foods that people in the past would look at as weird and disgusting.
Right.
But actually, that is a very, if you think about it, you kill an animal. There's no refrigeration. Animal protein is rare and expensive, and you're not going to let anything go to waste. And this is, blood, it has a lot of nutrients in it. And like every culture that has, some sort of poverty cuisine uses blood, either in a sausage or in like a pudding or something,
Great
right?
thickening
Mixed
agent.
with flour or mixed with corn or mixed with something, because the nutrients are incredible, and you don't want to lose out on this. So this dish would have been something that was developed usually during a ceremonial time, like a wedding or a funeral or something like that, and it still is, when you kill an animal and you process every single part of it, use every single part of it. But they've developed a way to make it taste really good, and he wasn't lying. It's delicious. It's truly delicious.
I believe it.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like irony blood. It's like this
I'll
really
eat it.
delicious.
I mean, you
thing.
can't say snout to tail if you don't mean it.
Truly.
Hipsters.
True. Now, having said that, I don't eat lu very often because there is this chance of getting parasites, because you're not sure about who killed the pig and how they did it and when
Gotta
they
go
did
to a
it and
reputable.
where did it come
I feel
from
like
and how
my
did it travel.
mother used to not be able to get brain, and now she can get brain. Like, we went through a period in the States. I could be making this up.
I was just at Carnitas.
Yeah.
Ramirez.
Yeah.
Oh, we had them on the
brain
pod.
was so
Yeah.
delicious. But I feel like we went through a time when we in the States couldn't get it. I might be making that up.
Brain is
because my mom was like
delicious.
always bringing home like brain and pig's feet and chicken feet. And,
I could get it. I could get it most of the time at Pok Pok. I didn't serve it very often. I'd serve it for special events.
Well, because it's like brain. Am I really what kind of eats this brain? But if you didn't tell people it was brain, they would put it in their mouth and go, "Holy shit, this is delicious."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're here doing a series of pop-ups. Why don't you shout out some of the best Thai places in the States before we move on to our final quick fire round?
Thai places in the States.
Or
So
people you've worked with.
on this trip, I'm not working with Thai restaurants per se. I'm doing, though. I have to give a shout out to my friends Chris and Sarah Yenbamrung at Night Market.
Yes, Night Market Song.
Really
I
fantastic.
used to live right by there.
There's up in Portland. There's Nong's Kamangai.
Mm-hmm.
Nong is
The chicken.
Yeah, really, really great. I
She's amazing.
did a pop-up. Yeah, she's great. And I did a pop-up at a spot called Shan in Bozeman, Montana. And that's a friend of mine, Jarrett, and his wife Candice, who lived in Bangkok for a long time, had a restaurant there called Soul Food Mahanakon. And they're doing a combination of Chinese and Thai stuff, but using local Bozeman proteins and natural wines and stuff. It's a fantastic restaurant.
Wow.
And
Jet
here,
Blue fly there?
and here I'm working at Mam.
Oh,
the
we
Vietnamese
love
place.
Chef
And
Gerald.
I'm actually not doing Thai food. I'm
We
doing
love Mam.
Vietnamese food there. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That is such a great restaurant.
Yeah. Other places in America, there's Talat Market down in Atlanta, and those guys are really awesome. And they named their restaurant, Talat means market in Thai, so they named their restaurant Market Market.
Okay, cute.
I think it's hilarious.
Market.
So yeah, and there's a lot of places that I haven't been to that have become more and more famous, and you know, I'm happy that Thai food is kind of established and doing cool shit. That's really good.
Hell yes. All right, we're gonna wrap this up with a quick fire round.
We're doing a quick fire.
We're doing a quick fire.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
Although sometimes people have to really think about it, and then it ends up not being quick. So we'll
Like
see.
this whole lead up to it.
In my brain, it's quick.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So first thing that just sort of comes into your head, and I don't even know if you still play music because we didn't even get to talk about music. But here we go. First question: favorite song to shred to?
Favorite song to shred to? Cinnamon Girl.
Oh, good one. Favorite hype song to cook to?
Favorite what song?
Hype song. Like what song gets you going in the kitchen?
Oh, I like listening to the Verlaines.
Favorite slice in New York City?
Ooh, last time I was through, I went to Mama's too, and I thought it was really great.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's the wrong answer, but okay.
It is. It's amazing. All right. What Thai dish do you think you cook the best?
I think that probably the Northern Lab is one of my specialties. Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum. What dish do you cook the best that is not Thai?
I don't know, man. I made a tarte tatin the other day that was pretty tasty.
Sweet. What's your alcoholic beverage of choice?
Cider,
When you are not eating Thai food, you are eating
Vietnamese food.
the food that you can't really get or miss living in Thailand?
Vietnamese food.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Quick fire.
And then the dumbest question, the last one. This is so stupid. Fuck, marry, kill. Rice dishes, noodle dishes, curry dishes.
Wait, there's an overlap.
Okay.
There is, of course, an overlap because a curry could be on a new. Yes, absolutely. But for the sake of this dumb question, like I said, that's cute.
Fuck, marry, kill, right?
Fuck,
Yeah,
marry, kill.
yeah.
Rice
Okay.
dishes, noodle dishes, curry dishes.
Fuck noodle, marry rice, kill curry.
Wow,
Whoa.
that's a hot take. What do you got an answer for that?
I think I'd marry curry.
Oh,
Kill noodle. Nope. I'd fuck curry. I'd marry rice. And I'd kill noodles.
wow.
How about you?
I don't know. I've never thought about it, but
Oh.
I'm serious. Like, okay, I would probably fuck a curry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like fresh noodles. I might marry them, and I might
feel
kill
like
rice.
it's so. I'm so often disappointed.
If they're great fucking handmade noodles,
Yeah,
I'm marrying them.
And I get like
I
get
take
like
the
1
noodle
out of
as my
10.
wedded
I feel-
noodle.
For me, rice is the mother of Thai cuisine.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It is the staple of all of Southeast Asia. Everything flows from rice. So I have to marry rice.
You got to marry rice.
Gotta marry rice.
Okay.
Can't live without rice.
Fuck noodles. I will put my dick in a bowl of pad thai
Fuck
anytime.
yes, you will. Swirl it around.
In Chris Christie's,
yeah.
you'll put Chris Christie's dick in a bowl of noodles.
And for me, curry is a made up word that Westerners use to describe a group of dishes
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah, okay.
That
That don't have anything to do with
have
each
anything
other.
to do with each other.
Good point.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah,
We
so
fucking
fuck
love
that.
that. All right, well, tell the people
Kill
at home
that.
where they can find you, socials, all that shit.
Yeah, I'm Pakrua, Pawkhrua, on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't fuck with TikTok.
It's
and
soul
I don't
crushing.
fuck with YouTube, but if you want to see, there's a documentary that Vice did years ago that's on YouTube that you can
watched
check out
it.
called Farang. But yeah, I usually if there's socials, I'm on Instagram's probably the place that I'm most likely to be.
And AndyRicker.com.
And AndyRicker.com, yeah.
Hell yes.
Yep.
Thank you for taking the time
Such
to
a
join
pleasure
us.
you.
talking
Yeah,
to you.
Pleasure.
while you're
Really,
here.
thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
We really appreciate you being here. So y'all know all of our socials. Put it in my mouth pod, basically on everything.
Yeah.
We do unfortunately have TikTok, so yay.
And we have a Patreon. Can we?
Yes. Talk about it.
I mean, I don't know much about it. We put some shit on Patreon, and like if you give us money, you get to look at it.
Yeah, we are a completely self-funded podcast. So if you like listening to our conversations or watching, please go support for as little as $5 a month.
Up there, we put some behind the scenes. We've got the what else?
Lots of behind the scenes favorite lists.
Yeah,
Judith just put up her favorite date spots.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for supporting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye. Yay!
What's going outside? Times Square is popping off.
Oh my God. I always feel like we never get to all the things I want to talk about. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
What is, I like it. What, I like it. I like it.
Put It In My Mouth podcast is recorded at Podstream Studios and produced by Candace Fox and myself, Lala Zimski. You can find us on all social platforms at Put It In My Mouth Pod. Our theme music was composed by Javier Dunn, and our intro and outro segments were created by Tyler Milliron. Our editor is Saeem Asif. Do you enjoy listening? Well, we would love to take your money, so please consider sponsoring an episode or helping us out with as little as $5 a month through our Patreon. Your contributions help us continue to create episodes we love so much. Thank you.